Great dog training, you guys. Make this one less crazy?
Yeah, sure.
He's weird. Can you fix that?
Yeah.
He's very sweet. He's not mean. There's not a mean bone in him. But sometimes he'll approach people and it looks like he's gonna like nip them. And of course they don't know that he's not mean.
Yeah.
But he comes off looking like a psycho. And also he's leash aggressive.
Okay.
So if he's on the leash,
Have you
try and eat a golden retriever.
really?
Yeah.
Ah, terriers.
He does listen pretty well. I mean,
So when
doesn't chase stuff,
when he's leash reactive, what does he do?
tries to eat anything that goes by.
Like,
Well,
does he like bark and lunge and like freak out? Okay.
yeah, he'll growl.
If you guys like this video or any other piece of content I put out, you guys can join the official No Bad Dog Members Club and support the movement. The link is in the description below.
And he does listen. If I say go be nice or go slow, he's good. Even on the leash, because I have him on a retractable, because I find that he's less reactive on that.
Yep.
But as soon as I put tension on that leash and pull him back, he'll rah,
Yeah.
try to eat that dog.
So that's what we call leash reactivity, which is common. And so like a reaction would be like if it started raining, it'd be like, oh, we're getting wet. Or when the kids hear the ice cream truck, they react, right? So when dogs are on a leash, it can make them vulnerable and it can make them frustrated. So they feel like I gotta go, and then they get, that's why you're saying like if he's got loose leash, he's good. But as soon as he gets that pressure, he turns into like this, yeah, right, which is common. Yeah, which is common for a lot of dogs. So when he does freak out, what do? Do you just like try to get him back?
We had another trainer about a year ago, and she was saying,
Hi, sweetheart.
as soon as he starts to show anxiety or reaction, just turn around and walk the other way. And I said, well, that feels like it's reinforcing something that he should be afraid of. And she said, no, it's teaching him that he's not going to get what he wants to be able to react and scare the other dog or something. And I was like, I don't know about this, but it didn't work. You know, he's smart.
Yeah. What I typically do for like dogs like that, I'll start working on the leave it command out of context of the reactivity. So instead of like saying like, hey, random dog, come over here so my dog can bark at you. What I typically do is I work on the leave it command with like a ball or food, and then apply it once the other dogs are around. But the problem that you're gonna run into is if he is on the easy walk, what ends up happening is the leash reactivity gets worse because like here's the dog here. So is this where he's gonna react?
Come here. Come. So, see?
Oh yeah, he's loaded right up. He's like, this is my park.
Oh. But the closer he is to that.
I see.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all good.
The closer he is to that dog. Hey, come.
So can I use a little slip really quick?
Yeah.
So basically what you were doing, just with like a little bit of added, like the slip just adds that more assertive, like, hey, quit it, like right when it happens. And because of him, he's not an aggressive dog. Typically they're like, oh, you don't want me to do that? You're like, no. And they're like, okay. I want to see how he does maybe with this dog. Ready? So I'm going to walk him towards this dog. Good. Heel. Come on, buddy. Leave it. Leave it. Yes. Good, leave it. Heel. Sit. Yes. Good, heel. Good. Sit. Yes. Good. So that was much better.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That was second.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a bark I didn't hear.
So I used what we call operant conditioning. So it's a really quick check on the lead.
I'm a psychologist.
Perfect. So you know.
I know operant conditioning.
You can tell me, you can teach me about it. So basically he came out and he's like, I'm gonna do something bad, and I added positive punishment. I said, nope, just with the pop. And he looked at me and then I paid him. So I corrected him for the behavior we don't want, and then I immediately verbally and externally paid him for the calmness.
Okay.
And so like I was saying before, because he's not like an innate aggressive killer, he's gonna really
an ankle.
Right, yeah, right. Or yeah. He's gonna really quickly be like, oh, well this is way easier. I'll just make a better decision and get paid from you. And then that way, because the question usually comes about is like, well, do you always need this? And if you're using what we call like a verbal marker, which essentially is cueing up something or like associating the conditioning, as you know, like the operant conditioning, the goal isn't to correct the dog like long term. It'd be like
it's
this
a redirect.
Exactly. Yeah. Or it's just a top modification where if I needed treats for the dog to do the behavior, the dog, what's the point? It would be sit, positive reinforcement encourages the behavior to happen again in the future. Positive punishment does the same thing on the other end. So you correct him a couple times on leave it, correction, and then you say leave it, and he goes, oh, and you pay him.
This collar, what, tightens up when you pull against it?
Yeah, so it's just like a show line, like if you've ever seen like the Westminster, like it's a show line. So all it does with this slip, with this, see how this locks into place?
Yeah.
So what you do is you put it right behind the dog's ears, so it's right around his head, just like horsemanship, right?
Higher up,
Where the head goes, the mind will follow. You put it right there, so it's not on his trachea and his larynx, and it's like causing him to choke.
Right. Okay.
And the pop that I did was so like, you probably didn't even like notice I did it. It was
I didn't.
It was
it was smooth. I'll tell you that part. It was,
yeah. So you just like pop the collar really quickly and say leave it. But what you don't want to do, because you have the ability to hang out, is you don't want to like run away, because then he'll get used to like that happening. Especially with a dog that doesn't have like, again, like he's not pooping and peeing on himself because he's terrified. He's just like, hey, this is my park. These are my people. And then you're like, hey man, quit the crap. And he's like,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh. But if you, that's what I'm saying, like if you just assertively, hey, and he's like, oh, and then he immediately looked at me and sat, and I paid him. If you guys like this video, do me a solid favor and support the channel by liking this video and leave a comment in the comments below.
When we're walking home, there's going to be dogs approaching us, and we're approaching them on a sidewalk, of course, so there's not a lot of space. So what should I do?
When you walk by, you just want to like use your peripherals to kind of hear him and see him, and if he starts to build, just pop the collar and just say leave it and just keep walking.
Okay.
But don't drag him. It's mechanics. So the dog will get at the end of the leash, and then if you pull and it's tight, you're just gonna end up pulling him. So you gotta make sure you have...
He'll get worse. He'll get more.
Yeah, he'll just keep getting pissed and frustrated.
So, but what about him getting nose to nose with another dog on a short leash though? Because that's where I get nervous that he will get shitty, because
but that's what I mean is you have to, like, we always use like a break cue. So we usually like tell the dog, okay, break, be a dog. But that's what I'm saying is you have to decide.
I have to get him used to ignoring them first.
Yeah, but yes. But what I'm saying is like if you're walking down the street and you see a dog that's like sitting on Broadway, like, hey, and you're like, oh, I'm okay with them seeing each other, then you just would allow that to happen. And then if he gets, but you do it the flexi, follow him over so it doesn't get tight.
Right.
Good boy, good job. And then if he gets shitty, you just immediately leave it and then you walk away.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying though, is don't hesitate. You're either like, nope, I don't know this dog, we don't have time, we're moving. But if it's an off-leash dog, then you're kind of...
Well, if the dog's off leash, usually he's okay.
Yeah, like either allow him to beat the dog and kind of like allow him to do that on a looser leash.
Okay.
But the moment he kind of gets like weird, correct, and then you get out. It's like kids, or like being a manager, or like if the thing you're responsible for doesn't understand what they're doing is wrong, it'll never change. But dog training in general is subjective, because you're gonna get somebody like the other trainer. Oh, when your dog reacts and does bad behavior, walk away. And then I'm like, and you're like, that didn't work. And then I'm like, hey, if you just correct the dog immediately when they do the bad behavior, it helps and it fixes it or it modifies it at that time.
I mean, I've been like nearly 2 years with him, trying to get him right.
Well, here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What was your name?
Katie.
Katie.
Yes. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Click here to subscribe to my channels to see more videos just like this.